Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful you're here with us today. My name is Rosita Perez. I'm a mindset coach for women, a realtor here in San Diego, and now an author of That's It, I'm Moving, A Woman's Journey from Pain to Power. And this book has been a long time coming. It's not just something I wrote, it's something I lived and now I'm free from. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Jeanne Cesena. Hello, Jeanne.
Hi, Rosita.
Now, Jeanne is an author. The book is called Made to Overcome Mental Health Edition number 2. And along with her husband, Henry, they lead a blended step family ministry. And she is also part of the women's ministry leadership team at the church. She walks alongside women, couples, and families through real life challenges with faith, healing, and identity. And one of the things I really respect about Jeanne is that she has such a heart for women, especially in the area of identity and finding their place as wives in a marriage. And this is such a core part of the book that I wrote. Jeanne is also one of the beta readers that I had to read the manuscript, and that blessed me so much. So today we're going to talk about what she thought about it and how it fits in. Jeanne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rosita. I'm really excited about talking about your book.
Yay! So tell me from your perspective, through your ministries that you're in and probably your own journey, what have you seen in women when it comes to identity?
It starts with knowing who they are. And I think identity is something that a lot of women don't know who they are, really in the core of who they are as a woman, not the things they do, but who they are. And identity is a crucial part of who they are. And they have to know that to walk in the faith and the love and the joy and the peace and all the things that God has given us. And when I sit down with a woman, a lot of times they're wounded, hurt. Step families have issues because they've been through a divorce or a death. And so these women are wounded and hurt and they don't know their identity.
Yes, exactly. And then that in itself causes problems, right? And a lot of times self-inflicted wounds.
Oh, yes. They don't know if they can get married again. They don't know if they can have children again. They're wounded to the core. And it takes them time because they trigger in their marriage and cause problems that are causing deep wounds in their spouse or their boyfriend or whoever they're dating. It can cause problems whenever they're trying to go through something in their life and they're wanting to go forward. They want to get healed, but those triggers and those things from the past pull them back,
Yeah, keeps them stuck.
keeps them stuck.
And many of us don't even understand that we are stuck.
No, we don't.
I mean, it took decades for me to finally go, oh, I get it now.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my past. I married a pastor who was a youth pastor and a worship leader. And we were just having a great marriage. The first year we were married, we ministered together. We did worship together and youth together. And I had a great relationship until he started hanging out with people from college that he went to college with.
Uh-huh.
Started doing drugs and alcohol, and he started sleeping around with other women. And all of a sudden, my world turned upside down, and I had no security anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what was going on. Here I was being a pastor's wife and having all these wounds and things that were inflicted upon me because he was abusing me at the same time he was out doing these things.
And how did your identity play a part in that whole scenario?
Well, first, when I first got there and I became a pastor's wife, I was pretty secure in my identity and who I was in Christ, and what I was going through at the time in my marriage was so good. And then all of a sudden it just changed. And my identity became what have I done with the kids and youth? What have I done with worship? What have I done as a pastor's wife? And my identity wasn't solid and secure on Christ. I was 23 years old when I got married, and I was really young, and I had a big responsibility to have these, 30, 40 kids all growing in the Lord and discipling them. And so my identity got threatened when my husband turned from God and went into the world.
Sounds like it probably even got shaken.
It did get shaken. It did.
I understand. So, and this is so powerful what we're talking about because so many women are trying to move forward in their life, but they have no idea how to do it. They don't know anything is holding them back. And that's why the work that we do, that we've been blessed to minister other women from our own pain, because God says that He will make all things for good. And that's definitely
Yeah.
what He's done with you and in your book, and also in my book. So Jeannie was one of the first women to not just read the book and reflected on it and gave me some really valuable input. And I believe that gives such a real and honest perspective for women who may be wondering, is this book really for me? So we're going to get into some questions and hopefully this will bring some clarity until you get the book. Okay, so Jeannie, let's go with question number one.
Okay.
Was there a season in your life where you wished you had this book?
Oh, definitely. When I was a young woman and coming out of that situation, I would love to have read this book because it talks about how to find freedom through the pain of your situations that you're in. And it describes what women go through and how they hurt and how they have pain. One area that I read in your book, I have already learned to keep my pain quiet, to push it down where no one could see it. All of a sudden, I became recluse and within myself, and I didn't want to get hurt anymore. I didn't want to get out there anymore because this pain was so strong that I was going through in that situation that I just was quiet and recluse and didn't want to, come out. And the book talks about how to do that. It gives you tools. It gives you a way to understand what Rosita is saying through her pain, coming out of her pain, and how that pain pulled her down and took her to a place where she needed healing, but she didn't realize you needed healing. And
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
didn't know.
realize it at the time.
And also, it was a time though, Jeannie, right? I mean, this is all new in society because for decades, wasn't it more like women just sucked it up?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. That's what we thought we should do. We didn't
Yeah,
have a voice.
right. That's,
Especially when you're being abused by someone, you don't have a voice in that situation because you don't want to get hurt any more than you already are.
but also the embarrassment of it.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to tell anybody. And in your position, you were a pastor's wife. So how can you, then we're in between, okay, do we say something? Something in us says, yeah, we have to say something, but society kind of pressures us not to say anything because we have to protect the husband, the family.
Right, right. I had pastors' wives and women's directors telling me to stay there and pray for him and not leave. And I should have gotten out of the situation I was in because I was getting hurt.
Right. But nowadays, if you went to the pastor or anybody in church, I don't believe that would be the same answer.
No, it wouldn't. Things have changed in that area, thank God.
So drastically. And so we were caught up in that whole how society looks and how we were raised. Because I know I was raised, you just be the best wife you could be and not say anything and just do your role. Okay, so the next question is if you were talking to another woman right now, one who feels stuck, unsure of herself, or maybe even sensing that something in her life no longer fits, how would you describe this book to her?
I would say that the book opens up areas in her life that she hasn't seen that can heal and make her whole, and describing the depths of emotions. Rosita, you describe the depths of emotions that women have,
Hmm.
and you give them tools to get out of that situation by describing yourself and what you went through and the revelations that you got from God, that God gave you to heal and to get whole as yourself as a woman, comes out in your book. And it's very
Hmm.
personalized, and it lets the other woman know that's reading the book that there's freedom and they can get healed and there is wholeness. But it is a place of pain sometimes where they're at, and they have to learn how that pain is going to bring them to power, bring them out of where they're at, because that place is, they're, like you said before, they're stuck. But it really describes how to get out of pain and to go on and be powerful in your life.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that's so important because I just didn't know. I kind of just stumbled with God on the healing because I was like, oh, you're going to have to surrender me because I was ready to go. Just take me now.
And it
But
talks about that too.
yeah, yeah. And it's so painful because I didn't know what to do.
Right, right.
Even though I've been in church and been a Christian for decades, I closed myself off from a relationship with God, I think, because I was just so hurt,
So wounded. Yeah,
so wounded, and I couldn't even access anything. And I went back to what I knew, right?
right.
Dwelling in the hurt, staying there. Yeah.
Well, I would have loved to have had your book when I came back out of the situation that I was in. I came home with two babies after he threatened to kill me. And the situation I was in so much pain. I wish I could have read your book at that point and saw some of the tools that you give to get out of that pain and to help yourself heal. Well, I think women that pick up your book and read it are going to understand more thoroughly what these emotions are that they're going through and be able to stop and say, okay, I'm going through these emotions. Why do they feel this way? What is going on? How can I come out of that and become whole and healed? And then your book explains a lot of what pain is and the different emotions that it comes from when you go through pain.
Thank you. I felt really stuck in between that because a lot of times I felt like we were taught not to really show our pain,
Right, right,
right? But we express anger with no problem. I just didn't know what to do with the other emotions, like
right,
the
right.
sadness and the frustration and the shame.
Especially shame. I was feeling so much shame when I came out of my marriage that I had done something wrong. Why was I in this situation? What could I do to change it? The shame was just so strong and so painful. And it took a while to get through that process with God and healing. And this book would have been perfect for me when I went through that situation.
Yeah, it just opens the door to it. And we still
Yeah.
have to do the work.
Oh, yes. Yes. You do
It's
have to
not
do
a
the work.
fix all. It's an awareness
Right.
of
Right.
what's going on, so you don't feel shameful or you don't feel like something's wrong with me. These are natural emotions that we go through.
Right. And they get less and less as you get more and more healed. You
Hmm.
realize sometimes you realize you've gone through something and you go, oh, wow, I'm healed from that. I don't have to go through that anymore.
Yeah,
And
or
that's
I
a
could talk
really,
about it without crying.
exactly. Share your testimony without being feel shame or hurt or pain from what you went through,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
healing process.
exactly. Now, I think this question is a big one. What would you say to the woman who knows something needs to change, but she's too afraid to make that move in her life?
I think I would say your book touches on areas of healing that you don't even know are happening when they're reading it. When you're
Mm.
reading the book, you start to understand and you start to come out of those emotions and you don't even realize it's happening. It may take some time. She may have to read a little bit at a time and just go through the process of change and hurt and pain. She might not be ready, but the book can start a process of that healing without her even going deeper and deeper and deeper into that pain. And she's going to know that she needs to continue to heal. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because anytime you go through healing, you're peeling back layers,
Right, right.
and every layer has to have room to heal, right? You
In
got
in the
like it.
healing process doesn't happen right away.
Right, right, exactly. So I would say to women, whatever book you're reading, whatever you're going through, to give yourself time and to be kind to yourself during this process.
Yes.
For many of us, I know I was in my 50s when I first started unpacking all of this stuff, and it was heavy. I released a lot of it, but because I've held it on for so long, it was exhausting to finally
Yes.
let it go.
Yes.
So I would say to any woman who is starting the process of healing and wanting to understand who she is and taking that step with God or a therapist or completely aware of the healing process, I'm going to say to give yourself time to nurture yourself, to not bring home the shame, but to understand that you are moving step by step, moving forward to who you're supposed to be.
Yes. Yes. And I had a major breakdown after my situation that I came out of when I was 27. I broke down and had to go to the hospital and go through a process and everything. And now I'm 67 and I'm still going through a process of healing in my life with my husband. I've been married to 30 years. We still have triggers in our marriage, but we know now what they are and how they happen and why they happen. And we're able to deal with them in our marriage. Where 30 years back, when I first met my husband, I was extremely scared of men. I didn't want to be around men. I didn't know what love was. I was completely wounded. And he just walked me through the process as a friend and a healing process of what it's like to be around a man again. I saw him with
Oh,
friends. I saw him with his family. I saw him around other people and how nice and kind. And he ran a Bible study and he was just a really nice guy. But my heart had to heal before I was ready for marriage or dating because of all the wounds that I had had in the past.
right. You had to heal so that you can let somebody in.
Right, right.
Yeah. And also, I think to trust yourself that you are making the right decision,
Right, right.
right? Because I know for me, I have two husbands. So
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh, am I going to make the right decision this time? But now that I'm
right.
healed, I'm more aware of what's unhealthy and not good for me and what is good for me.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow, Jeannie, thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. That blesses me a lot and gives me hope.
Oh yeah, and having children, I had a 10-year-old and a year old when I met my husband, and I didn't trust him with them either because of the
Oh,
things that my ex had done to them. And so there was a whole healing process of being a mom and allowing to trust a man with my kids again. That was a whole process of being in the blended step family ministry, which we've done for 12 years at our church.
yeah.
So we're it's a process of learning to trust again when you go through these pains in the past.
Amen. Jeannie, thank you so much for your time, your honesty, and your heart. And thank you for being willing to not only read my book early, but to share your perspective so openly. And I know this conversation is going to impact so many women. So I'd like to have your
Mm.
information included in this video in the write-up so that people can contact you if they have questions about
Blended step family ministry.
yeah, step family ministry, or they want to talk to you about anything having to do with abusive marriage and how to get out of it. I'd love to have your contact information in the content here so that they can reach out to you.
That would be great. I would love to talk to them.
Great. Thank you all for listening. Again, we're here to support you, to answer any questions that you may have. So we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Take care. God bless.